the latest news, game updates, insights, highlights, and everything Liberty Hockey. This is Rock the Rink, where Liberty Hockey lives.
Hey there, friends. Welcome into the Rock the Rink podcast. As Christmas time is upon us, the games have wrapped up. We're pretty much through until early January, so we are through.
Yeah, we are done. We're done.
Yeah. Lots of
Pretty
Christmas
much.
presents out here recently, especially in the rankings department. Before we get to that, though, this week's Rock the Rink podcast is brought to you by Virginia Army National Guard. The next greatest generation is now, and it begins with you. Get a head start on your career in exciting fields like science, communications, engineering, and medicine, along with tuition assistance in Virginia National Guard. To learn more about the Virginia Army National Guard, check out Join VA Guard on Facebook and Instagram, or email us at nationalguard@liberty.edu. That's nationalguard@liberty.edu. Well, men's D1, kind of cupcake games, in all honesty, before Christmas came around. I was in like St. Louis this weekend, so I was kind of keeping track because I got to bed late, and I saw like after the second period of the first game, what was it?
It was 7-0.
7-0. And then I woke up like at 3 or 4 a.m. and I was just like, let me see how what the final was. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What on earth?
I had the same thing the next morning, 7:16.
I was
That third period. I don't know what happened. Like the wheels fell off for sure of the Dragons bus and like went into the ditch. But yeah, it was crazy.
How many goalie changes were there?
There was only one.
Only one change.
Yeah,
you didn't
after
see that
after we made it 10-0, they put the other guy in, who was a freshman, and he got.
I would
he got
just be
eaten.
like, listen, fellas, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to change the goalie after every goal. So if you want to play, don't let it go. Just see how it fared.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. But yeah, absolute insanity in that one. 3 Hatties. DeMars had one. Barker, Versalono. Power play, 4 for 8. Terrific. 2 power play goals in each game. 7th consecutive game with a power play marker. So the power play, which was much discussed earlier this year, has started to find a rhythm, which is huge.
Agreed. Yeah, and I think the biggest part too is like every time they've been able to get the power play marker, at least one of them was big traffic in front of the net, right? Like that's been the key. So I think that has been the recipe of success. And you have a lot of one power play has nothing but big bodies where you have Feemster, Shields, and DeMars kind of rotating in front of the net / on either the near or far wall down low. So like that's huge, I think, too, for that power play because they cashed in, I believe, twice on the weekend as well.
Yeah, that's big. When you look at the weekend as a whole, well, let me mention this. PK went 6 for 6, which is good. Honestly, probably one of those things you hope and expect it to do that well against Drexel, which you hate to say, but on paper, like Liberty should have won this, and they did in dominating fashion. Feemster, 3 goals, 4 apples. DeMars, 3 and 3. Versalono, 4 and 1. Shields had a good weekend with 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points, and the list goes on and on. Calendike continues to produce at a clip that we're used to. Essenmacher, this is talk about, is he like in the running? I know they don't have freshman of the year, right? First year player kind of thing in the ACHA.
Yeah, they have Rookie of the Year.
Do they have Rookie of the Year?
Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah, men's
is it
D1.
women's that doesn't?
Yes.
I'm getting all mixed up.
Yeah.
None of the other leagues have Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
But it's okay because men's D1 doesn't have All-Americans anymore like the rest of them.
What is up with this?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what? This is what we're going to do, Pat.
Tell me about
It's
it.
just, how you have like...
Rhett can make some waves.
Yeah.
I just think...
He does.
Instead of they have like Phil Steele All-Americans of football, like people just make up their own All-Americans.
The Rock the Rink All-Americans?
Or just the Pat Strawn
Oh,
I think you should just put your name on it. It would become a thing.
I know. I said this last time I was here. Patrick Kagung, All American.
Yeah. Do you remember that? Do you know? Okay.
I do, but I think you should do it.
Yeah, maybe for the final pod, I will.
Yeah,
I think.
But I think you need to tweet them out.
Yeah. Okay.
This is my list of All-Americans this year. Have your rookie team and your first and second team. You know enough to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll get some blowback because there'll be some like no-name school that had a guy that scored 60 goals playing against high school kids that they'll be like, he should be an All-American. But you can just tell his parents maybe next year.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
yeah. Anyway, so the guys just filled the nets this weekend. Bernie had a big night with a shutty, and then Couch 21 and 23. So now the Flames, as it currently stands, the final ranking is yet to come out for Christmas break. So Flames currently in third. I don't think they're going to move up playing Drexel. I guess there's a chance.
There's a chance they could move to 2 because
Really? Yeah.
Adrian played Toledo, and Drexel is 25 spots ahead of Toledo.
All right.
And they
How bad is
well,
Toledo?
so Toledo.
I'm just kidding. That's not what
it said in
that's not
the
what we're
so
talking
if you look in like when they tweet out like that metric of all the teams,
Yeah, I
I
know
think
exactly.
Toledo was 50.
Okay.
Yeah. So and Drexel is 25
Are the
now.
Rockets D1 now? Did they move to D1?
Yeah.
Okay. When did
Yeah,
that
they've
happen?
been. It's been a few years.
Okay.
Like yeah.
So-
Because I know we're used to
Yeah.
seeing them when they play during
D2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
D2 playing,
They were
and
good
they
at
had some
D2.
big battles
Yeah.
at D2,
They
right?
really
So,
good goaltending there for a while.
so
What do you think? You think they'll move up to 2?
they could.
Yeah,
Like it's
okay.
possible. I feel like even though Ohio became number 1 without even playing, right?
Yeah,
so like,
that's true.
there's a good chance like for them sweeping Liberty, like it just benefits them even more.
Oh,
so.
yeah. Liberty. Like Ohio should be sending a Christmas present, like I said, to the
Yeah,
Flames.
like you said, a piece of Bird Arena.
Yeah, that's true.
Here's your
one of-
section. Yeah.
Here's one of the seats. Here's a cup of water for
Yeah.
the nights here. Anyways,
So
yeah.
it doesn't hurt them that they didn't get the 7-goal split against
And
Drexel?
game 2?
Yeah.
I don't think it will because they got it the first night, and then the second night you got 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like it.
Do you know what the scores were of the Toledo Adrian game?
I believe they were 8-1 and 4-0.
Okay, so that
Definitely,
they
yeah.
They win the scoring aggregate in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
I liked the hat trick from Versalano the second night, right? You win 8-2, guy gets a hat trick. It wasn't like just another hat trick in the 16-0. So
Right.
I think
Yeah.
a guy like him, looking for confidence, him in that line, I think they're playing good hockey going into the break. So I was glad to see that Versalano got rewarded for.
It's kind of hard to believe that's his first Hattie.
Yeah,
it's his
ever.
4th year here, like that. First Hattie, like ever. You mean as in a Liberty uniform?
Yeah.
That kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, surprising.
Yeah, and he's it's crazy to think he's battled injuries. Like he's played through a lot of injuries, but he's battled them. It's nice.
Well, and plus he's married now and he's got a kid, so that's
Yeah.
its own battle.
That's its own injury. Right?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. No, I shouldn't say that. I don't believe that at all. No. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. I know you put my foot in my mouth. So yeah, good to see the boys. Great weekend by them on all accounts, and as they continue to grow, now they get a much needed break over Christmas. They come back, and it's kind of mid to late January is when things get rolling again.
Yeah. Tough
the
games,
Flames.
though, too.
Yeah, who do they have?
They start off with Calvin, and then they'll play Niagara. And we'd be remiss not to remember, though, they're going to be without 5 players
Oh, that's true.
because of the
Oh,
World
the-
University game. So, like, I think those guys come back, like, the Friday
Okay.
before. But, like, I don't know if they're going to play in that Niagara series, truthfully, because they're going to be so jet-lagged and time change. So maybe they would play Saturday if desperate, but I feel
So they come back the Friday the morning of, like,
I think
play
it.
that night?
Or sorry, I take that back. I don't know exactly what date they'll come back. I think the tournament goes to the 23rd.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. Yeah. It's in some ways you feel like on years that there is a World University Games, they should just do a league mandated like break until it's over.
yeah. Or like push because like when they did that World Cup of Hockey, it was
Yeah.
after the season,
Right.
and so like but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it fares. But anyways, men, 5 straight wins for them. They're cooking right now and looking strong heading into second semester. And again, they'll be definitely no lower than 3rd as they head into
Right.
Christmas break.
Agreed.
So, yeah, good stuff for them. All right, we move on to the ladies now, taking on the Niagara Purple Eagles. They win it 5-1 and 3-2 in overtime. It feels like the Flames have had a lot of OT
Yeah,
games.
they're right
this
now
year.
3-0 in OT.
Yeah.
So that
I was gonna
that's
say
at
they
least
haven't
nice.
lost, so
Yeah, so that's at least nice, and like it's just tough, right? Like, and I feel like everyone. And Forth can talk a little bit more about this. Like when people play Liberty, it's a tighter game.
Yeah.
And like when people win, they definitely you thought they won like a championship.
Yeah.
So just the way
Right,
they
yeah.
sell it, like
Yeah.
I just remember watching Minot and Adrian, their 2 wins versus Liberty, like just going nuts. And then Liberty beats them the same way. Great game.
Yeah.
Like,
Business
so
as
that
usual.
right, like so, like
Yeah.
I mean, for the girls, I would wear that as a badge of honor.
Oh,
they know,
totally.
like,
Yeah.
Well, to win the ship, they got to go through us. So, but everyone's playing tight games, right? Like, I mean, Minot played Jamestown. Jamestown, I believe, is like 14th right now. Minot 6th. But they beat them 2-1 and then 2-1 in overtime. Yeah. Then also Maryville ties with Lindenwood. Lindenwood, I believe, is 12th, and Maryville's 3rd in the country. Yeah. So 4-4 tie too, right?
Crazy.
And then before Thanksgiving break, Adrian had a tight game versus Miami, Ohio, who's not even, or I think they just now are ranked. They're 13th, and Adrian's 2nd. McKendree played Arizona and Arizona State. Won both in overtime. McKendree's the 3rd team in the country, I believe.
Yeah.
So, like, or one of the top 5 teams. So, like, yeah, all those top teams are playing tight games right now. So, which shows, I guess, which I know you guys will talk about in a sec, but, like, the growth of the league, which is great.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that the league, like, it used to feel like 1 through 8 was, like, the only, like, teams capable of making it and being, like, in your opinion, like, good enough to make the playoffs. And even then, I think you could say, like, you know, like,
top 5.
It's 5, yeah. It's 5 and under, like, even they're just kind of there. But now it feels like there's a legit chance of, like, 1 through 12, 1 through 13, they're all in the mix.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's separation in there, but still, like, you could say, okay, that's like, that team could make the playoffs, and they may not make it this year, but they are deserving of it.
Yeah.
Like I'll say as a coach, this is bad, but even like as like recent as 4 years ago when we played Maryville, it was kind of like, I don't really need to prep for this because we're going to win.
Right.
Is it by 4 or is it by 8? But now, like, the prep has to be in every game. Yeah. Like, even against a Niagara, like, you know, you can still outshoot them.
Yeah.
But, like, as Liberty women have seen this last couple of years, especially last year in the playoffs, like, a goalie can win a game.
Totally.
Right.
So, no,
even ASU, I think, was last year, was in the tourney.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, oh, this will be, like, a good one for the Flames. And then,
yeah, like, and they had to pull an upset because, you know, the way the format is, like, lost their first game, pulled an upset in that little playing stage to stay into the tournament, and then, almost pulled a huge upset in night 1. So,
well, and then arguably, like, Liberty doubled Minot shots in the tournament. And ended up losing.
Right.
So
and
like,
double OT.
Yeah.
It's crazy how that happened. So, leading the Flames this past weekend, Zasha Adamek, 4 goals, Fussy, 1 goal, 2 assists. Ladies, again, getting production out of that line as they continue to do well. Flames sitting at number 1 in the nation. I'm sure head coach Chris Lowe is happy about that. We caught up with him earlier today. Thrilled to be joined now by Chris Lowe, head coach of women's D1 hockey. Chris, great to have you on again.
Good to be here, Rhett.
Good to see you. How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it's a good time of year.
Yeah.
I think exam time for the team and just kind of in that transition to Christmas break. So, yeah, it's a good time.
Any, like, before we dive into the hockey portion, any great, like, traditions back in Peterborough, kind of the Christmas time? Anything come to mind from, like, the teenage years of your life up and through when you graduated at Liberty? Is like, oh, I just remember going back home and this was my favorite thing to do when I got back for Christmas.
Eat Swiss Chalet? I don't know.
We
went up there this summer and
Harvey's. Is that what you said? I do love some Harvey's.
Harvey's is on the show. My wife goes to Tim Hortons 3 times a day when we're up there. But no, we went to Swiss Chalet this summer. I was a little underwhelmed. So
where you at?
yeah,
the chicken's still dry.
You know,
it's all about the sauce.
You can get the sauce package. Did you
I've
know
heard that?
Yeah, it's actually pretty solid.
But no, I don't know what, we did a little bit of the pond skating and stuff. I only did it a few times as a kid, but skating on the lift locks is pretty cool.
Oh, that is pretty
right? The world's largest lift lock and this great canal, and you've got sections for public skating.
Yeah.
There's, people there playing pond hockey. And
did you ever slew foot somebody?
Get the rep in. Hey, guys, line it up.
If it was anyone, it would have been my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I still owe him a few.
Yeah. What about the team? Do you guys do anything Christmas-wise? Do you have a Christmas party for the girls before they head off?
We've been doing a few things. This year with the late games, it was a little bit different. But no, really just scrambling, trying to get some player meetings in before they go. And, just even trying to get an idea of academically kind of how the semester went. And I'm very optimistic. I think the girls.
Sounds super Christmassy.
Semester. Yeah.
Merry Christmas. Here's some criticism. For you. No, I'm joking. But, that's a great point. Like, you've gone from men's D2, now women's D1. You've had a lot of success there. But do you feel the communication aspect of your coaching has had to grow going to, like, the female game?
Yeah, it's probably changed a little bit. I do think guys and girls consume hockey a little bit different, and that's maybe one of the bigger challenges is there's, the girls watch the game a little bit different, and there's a little less of that. I saw Matthews do something on a video. I'm going down in the basement. We've talked about this, Forth and I, over the years, and so just trying to build that roadmap for them of how they take the next step and get there. But no, a lot of it's the same. But I think it's just important to be keeping those lines of communication open, right? Because as a coach, you're seeing stuff, and it's hard not as a coach to look and say, man, this kid's a great player. If only we could figure out this area,
right?
Or if only we could, grow this area by 10%, it could mean all the world in the difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you were saying about they consume the game a little different. I honestly don't think a lot of girls at this level at Liberty watch NHL hockey. And I don't know if it's just a thing growing up. They just didn't. But, I feel like guys get together, watch the games in the NHL, and, again, they troll those sick highlight goal sites, and the girls just may not do it. But
yeah, that's interesting. So kind of take us through this past weekend against Niagara and your thoughts, and we'll dive more into the team at a deeper level here in a sec.
Yeah, I think, first we were excited to get in there. We had dropped the Game 3 versus Minot, and then we had Thanksgiving break. So I think the sooner you can get back on the ice and get back on the winning track is important. This weekend was interesting. It's our first time seeing Niagara, and I think there's a big question mark there, but very solid team. And, I think there was, in Game 1, I think there were moments where I thought, man, that was closer than it was. And, we scored with 1.7 seconds left in the first in Game 1, and then we got a couple late in the game. But really, that felt more like a 3-1 game than it did a 5-1 game. And, we kind of secured that Niagara's a solid team the next night because we had fits, and it was everything we could do to pull that one out. So it was an exciting weekend and a tough weekend of hockey, and I'm obviously glad we went out with a couple wins.
Let me ask you this. Have you seen these last couple of years the league continuing to get better and the parity? Because, again, I haven't coached with you in a couple of years, but, watching these games, especially against the Minots, the Maryvilles, their top end is getting better than they historically have had, and the game is just looking really fast. Minot, the way you went 2-3, and I was like, they could have easily, went 0-3. So I'm just curious from your perspective.
Yeah, I don't know if the league's getting better. There's more talent out there. Is the game really growing, or is there that many more high-end players? But yeah, without a doubt, the league's at a really good place. I think especially on the women's side, we spend most of our time. But you look at where Maryville is, and having a chance to see them already this year, and some of the girls they brought in to add to a really good returning group. And Minot's the same thing, right? They were a good team last year, and they added a couple players, and that Miller kid, was had her moments against us. And yeah, the league, again, I'm proud of where the league is, and kind of, and you and I being a part of kind of helping grow and take those next steps. And yeah, I think more and more girls, and I saw something on Spit and Chicklets, I think this past week, kind of talking about the ACHA, and I tend to think it's as good or a better option than most of the D3s that we're competing against for players.
Yeah, it's really growing. It's been fun to watch that over the past, decade, really. I think even when you played ACHA and when you and I had that 1 year of glory together.
I was going to say, that's closer to a decade.
Yeah.
2 decades.
But still, it's crazy to see how much it's grown in that time span. When you look at your team and a lot of fresh faces this year, it's a big recruitment class. Have you been pleased with how their growth and their development over the course of a semester? Because that first semester is tough. You have a lot of girls that are coming to the States and kind of getting used to being in the United States, for that matter, from Canada. There is a difference. And then you also have you're getting used to university life and what that's all about. So how have you seen them transition into this new stage of life for them?
Yeah, it's been a different year, I think, when it comes to that, for sure. Just bringing in 10 players, 8 true freshmen, two transfers. Yeah, it's just changed the feel, and I think it's changed the way as a coach we've had to approach it, and a lot more teaching, less kind of, hey, they just got it, and they'll consume kind of the plan and just get on board. So Yeah, I would say we're ahead of my projections. I mean, obviously we're sitting at a great spot going into the break, being the 1 seed, and it was 13-2 on the semester, and we dropped the first one, and then that last game of Game 3 versus Minot.
I feel like you dropping the first game was probably the first time in your tenure at women's that you had a losing record.
That old
off to a rough start.
I never really thought about that, but yeah, it was. I mean, it was a gauntlet. You know what it's like to go to Adrian and play that first one right off a bus and against a really good team. But no, I think we're performing well, and the girls are getting there. And I think even the last 2 weekends we've kind of seen it now. It's a lot to take in and absorb, and a new team and a new teammates and new systems. But I think we're starting to see it become the norm. And I'm really excited for second semester. I think we probably stole a few games this semester. Okay. I mean, we had a good team. I think we owned possession in most of the games and outshot, which can be a little bit deceiving. But really even this past weekend, like if Zosh and Brielle don't do their thing, you have a chance to drop one or two of those. And so that's the scary thing. But we've had girls stepping up. Alex has been great in goal, and Sammy Peebles has gone off a couple times, and Maddie Glenn's been her dangerous self. And you look at Ellie Sauerauer has really taken a step from last year, and those are the things you need, right? When you're kind of bringing in such a large group.
Yeah, going off of Ellie Sauerauer, looking at the Team USA list, were you surprised that she was left off of that list?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a travesty, and I think seeing the way she's playing, maybe if they made that decision before we'd gotten this season going based off last year, maybe. But she's playing lights out, and she's a different player than she was last year. So I have a hard time thinking she wouldn't not only make that roster, but fit into the top 9 quite nicely. Yeah,
you talked about Zasha and Brielle. Obviously, they're dangerous when you watch the games, and it was huge for your best players to step up and be those best players. But Sauerauer, for me, is someone, when I watch games, I think, oh, she's dangerous. She can make something happen every shift. So, yeah, I would probably agree with you on that one.
Yeah, it's funny. She's played with a few different people this year and a couple different line combos, and we've just kind of realized that she can go create on her own.
Yeah.
So we don't have to put her with a distributor, or like she's really shown kind of her, and not just here and there, right? She goes out shift after shift and has been making really good decisions. So yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch her kind of. And the other thing is, even the All-Star weekend, right? I think she had a really strong argument to be on the WMCH East squad.
How do you put lines together? Are you like a trio guy, or do you kind of say I want to have these two and there's one part interchangeable? What's your method behind that?
I'm historically, I do not like locking in and riding it. I like to tinker. Sometimes you just need a fresh look. Fourth and I can have a great weekend playing on the wings together, and just something goes wrong, or you need a fresh look. So I like to really tinker, and in a perfect world, you've got competition in your lineup too, where you've got girls stepping up. I think this year we've seen a couple consistencies, and that's we've had Brielle and Zasha playing together, and they've just been so dangerous. We've liked that, and we've been able to plug and play this last weekend with Haley Lee on the wing, and that was really kind of exciting to watch. And then the other two that we've seen a lot together, they weren't this past weekend. We had a lot of Tristan Craig in battles, and I think we saw a little bit there early on, and that's something we might go back to at some point too.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, with the line combinations, it's obviously who works well with whom, but I think as a coach, you always want more, right? So like these girls are playing pretty well together. Okay, maybe there's a little bit of an off shift or two. Okay, what can we get out of this person and these two? So like as a coach, you always want more. Like power plays at 29%, let's get to 30. Yeah. So I think that's probably a little bit of the natural where that comes from. And when we coach together, that's where we.
I do think it's certainly, we hope it's going to be our strength. I think it can be our demise at times too, but we got to score.
Yeah.
And we've got depth and we've got talent throughout. So it's really just, keeping especially three lines buzzing, and hopefully even if teams shut down and you shut down Zasha and Brielle for a weekend, that we've got secondary scoring.
I was gonna that was my next question. Like last year, it felt like you could pepper a team with 60 shots, outshoot them 3-1, and you'd still win 1-0 or, potentially lose 2-1. Was that like a big emphasis this past summer? Like we have to find a way to, like I guess if you want to like mathematically get our shooting percentage up, or like what was the thought process behind that?
Yeah, I don't love the shot stat in and of itself.
Okay.
I've played in too many games where teams are, we outshot them. Like, I actually would consider myself more of a possession guy anyways, and rather keeping control and working the outsides. But yeah, it's absolutely been focal point, I think, both as a staff and something we're vocalizing with our players, but we got to score, and we can't be putting out. So we've spent a lot of time in practice in goal scoring situations, outman situations, and just trying to rep that. And you see it in video, right? Is you get a quick turnover in the corner, there's usually a lane to the net, right? And it's the hockey's just a game full of 2-on-1s all over the ice, and when you have them and you find them, you got to recognize and go exploit it. So, we've this past weekend, especially in Game 2, obviously, I think we were hunting for that winner, and it took us a while to find it. But I think we've had some weekends where we've went off, and we've seen that depth of scoring, which is optimistic.
Yeah, I guess a question for you is, as far as a coach, different coaches I think have different perspective and control levels. For you, are you a kind of coach that likes to plan a practice and run a practice and execute that? Do you love that part of it, or do you like the lack of control, maybe game side of it? Like, what do you look forward to the most as a coach, or just roadies? Probably not.
Not roadies. I'm getting too old to be sleeping on these buses. I say that roadies are where a lot of the magic happens with your team. So, that's a good question. I don't. It's not about the games for me. Like, it's certainly not where I look forward to the weekend. I enjoy practice as much, and more than that, I like the idea of building a team. Like, I do enjoy. It can be a grind, but the recruiting process and kind of, prospecting for who that right piece is. But no, it would definitely be the practice, and I say that. And there's days as a coach where you want to rip your hair out, right? And there's just days they don't have the energy, they don't have the execution, and you can be frustrated by it. But those days where you have a real high compete practice and drills go together well, and the girls, understand the concepts. Those are the exciting days, I think, for me. And I love the compete in practice, right? Those girls that, a way to my heart, right, is just that compete, that drive, the Paul Ingalls, right?
Yep.
Just to get after it every day, every shift, every practice. And those are the girls that usually draw my positive reinforcement.
I just thought of this, but it's like, we're not that far off from seeing like a handy on the back of a Liberty jersey at some point. Would we see a Lowe's on the back of a women's sweater one day? Either one of your girls play hockey?
Or Lisa have eligibility?
Yeah, Lisa got it. Yeah.
There should be
Is she the best athlete in the house, your wife?
Oh, she probably is. If I say no, people will call me no. No, my girls don't play hockey.
Okay.
They've skated and they've done that a bit. And Shane was probably the closest. She's expressed a little interest, but no, kind of like the handies. It's hard around here with hockey.
Yeah, it is.
Right, with the one rink, and there's not a lot of people playing. Certainly not a lot of girls.
True.
So that would have been. I think we would have faced the handy situation.
Right,
if your kids love it, you have to send them somewhere to find competition.
Are they softball? Are they into softball?
Softball, volleyball right now are there too. So
yeah, that's exciting. Good stuff.
Following in their mom's footsteps, not their dad's.
Thank goodness,
probably
right?
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, probably
not a bad idea. Well, Chris, great to see you. Thanks for coming on, and Merry Christmas to you.
Awesome. Merry Christmas, fellas.
Well, great to have Chris Lowe on the podcast. Always fun talking to him.
For sure.
Yeah, his life. His wife was a really good softball player. Played.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah,
Is she in the Hall of Fame?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
But she was.
Get Dot on the horn. Let's ask.
Yeah. But no, always great to talk to Lowe's. Going off of what I was asking, do you have like a good memory, like going back to Huntsville, like when you were in university, like, oh, I can't wait to like do this or drink X or
Drink what?
No.
The club.
Yeah,
No, I mean, for me, it's Tim Hortons, and even I just got back.
Always.
Yeah, I got back from Thanksgiving. I went 3 days home by myself.
yeah.
Got ripped up there. Started to snow. I left. But while I was there, it was an ice cap, a couple donuts, a large regular coffee,
What's your donut of choice?
vanilla dip.
Vanilla dip. Okay.
Yep.
Ooh, that's a good
And I don't get it anywhere else. Like sprinkled donuts to me, like they're okay, but like I look for the
Right.
and then I like the bagel belts
Yeah.
with the bacon.
Yeah.
And then urban garlic cream cheese on an everything bagel.
Okay.
Yeah, that's funny. He said the vanilla dip. That's Shy's choice too.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah.
Because she just eats the sprinkles.
Yeah,
Frosting.
they're good.
The rest of the donut stays.
I eat the whole thing.
I
But
was like, you're not.
I was like so annoyed with myself. Like I got the ice cap, drinking it. I'm like so excited, and like the next 30 seconds, I'm just like that guy by myself
Oh, you're just-
at a pit stop, like going through brain freeze like an idiot. So
Oh, mine's a Canadian maple. You can't.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, like you can't
Yep.
get that down here. Actually, for a time, when Duncan first opened up down here on Old Forest Road, I lived over there, and I just was like, one night I was like, hey, could you? I was actually coaching at the time, and I was like, I'm starving. I'm gonna get a coffee and a donut before I go into practice. And I went in there like, we're just gonna make your donut, and I'm like, oh, like. Could you, instead of putting like chocolate on that Boston cream, could you put maple icing? And they're like, yeah, we can do that. So I was like, this is terrific.
the best service ever.
Oh, I know. I was like, this is great. I'm like, if I told you like I wanted 12 of these, could you like do it? And they're like, yeah, just give us a heads up. So like for a while, I was like, I had them make Canadian maples for me down here. But then I think ownership changed.
That's all right. New management.
I know we can't
came
do that
in.
anymore. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, no, that's funny.
So, but anyways, yeah, Tim's. I went back home last summer for the first time in like 5 years, and I told my wife, I was like, the only thing I want the freedom to do is have a Tim's whenever I want. Like that's all I want. And the coffee's so cheap up there. It's like $1.60 for a large Canadian.
Yeah,
So
just sauce them a tuna, you'll get change back.
yeah, really. Yeah, just no pennies.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, all right, moving on here. Lady Flames, number one in the nation as they head into Christmas break, and they'll get back after. Pat, do you know who they start off with here in the spring?
I know they have like an all-star game, and then part of me thinks they go back out to St. Louis for like another 3-game.
It's not a horrible drive. I was just
trip.
out there. It's not like the worst drive in the world.
I mean, I think the team and girls are over it. Like that's where they go. But it's a familiar thing. So like now it's almost like a home game.
Yeah,
like you know where you're going.
There,
you're in the same hotel.
Yeah.
Like you know the routine at these 2 or 3 barns that you play at.
Right.
Just business as usual.
Yeah.
So
That was funny. Did you? I'm sure you've been like to the Arch and whatnot, right?
No, I haven't.
You haven't? Okay.
No.
So I was there this past weekend and like did it with my kids and went to the Arch, and it was pretty neat. But one thing I found interesting.
Oh, the Arch. Yes,
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Ark, like Noah's Ark. on the
Noah's
way.
Ark. Oh,
Yeah.
that's really good
So
too.
we never
Yeah,
stopped
yeah.
at the
Sorry if I had a
Ark,
heart.
but yes, I've been the Arch.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But
I try not to go downtown St. Louis too much.
I was in the daytime. Yeah.
yeah.
It was just,
Probably smart.
I felt good.
And I definitely wouldn't take my kids there, but yeah, each to their own.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It was light out. The one thing, it's funny. I'll tell that story later. But anyways, when we were there, I found it interesting, like where it's at now. It used to be a neighborhood, and they declared like, oh, we're just gonna create this a park. So all these houses were ripped down so they could build the Arch, and yeah,
Wild.
kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Hopefully they got a decent payout.
Yeah, I know, right? Or it's back in the old days.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Do whatever you want.
tough luck.
Gosh.
Yeah. All right, men's Division 2. End the year with another split, taking on Ohio, losing 3-1 and winning 4-1. Lamoureux, goal, 2 assists. Kaner with 2 apples. A bunch of other people with 1 assist. Selke and Scon now kind of split in time. Is there, you hate to bring up, is there a goaltending controversy going on? But I think what I will say though is I think they are comfortable now saying, hey, we have a 1A, 1B situation.
Yes, and I think that is the case. Real quick, sorry. Women are going to St. Louis. They're going to play Maryville, and then on the way back, they're going to go to Illinois and play McKendree. So those are 2 big games.
Okay.
Nice.
But yeah, going back to men's D2, I feel like for them, when I saw Selke play, it was his 3rd straight start. I was like, what's going on? And then I thought Scon was hurt, and Annie filled me in saying like, oh no, he's sick. So he played the second night because I think they knew like they needed the 2 wins. But I was going to say like they've got to. Men's D2's got to find a way to be a little more consistent. Like in 3 of Selke's losses, the offense just kind of dries up.
Yeah.
Even they've been able to win pretty well the night before with Scon.
You've said that to me. I've noticed you've said that to me like a couple times. Like,
well, so like
Selke does not get the offensive.
Well, so like
support
they
that Scon.
lose.
Well, maybe
three,
when you're named after the most defensive player in the
they
league
lose
award,
yeah.
they just kind of rely
They
on
lose
it too much.
3-1 night one, and then they win 4-1 the next day. Right, and then there's another series too like that. I believe it was Northeastern. They win 5-1 the first day. He goes in, they lose 1-0. If I'm not mistaken. So like that's the only thing I'm thinking of. Now I will say also men's D2, which they're gonna have to find a way to battle through this. They've been hosed with bad officiating.
Okay,
I will say that. Like they had a goal disallowed again.
No way.
And it was, and like we all, for the reason why I'm not saying they would have won game one, because it would have made, at this point, it was like 34 seconds left.
Okay.
And it would have made it 3-2. It's big because of the way the rankings are,
Yeah,
especially at D2. They heavy the goals against
the goal
and
differential
the goal
is big.
differential for them. So that hurts them by not getting that second goal. And it's clearly in. And I'm like, I don't know what they're debating about. Like, you blow it dead after, and the puck's clearly in the net. Like, what's the debate? So, like, I will say that. Like, but at the same time, at the end of the day, you got to find a way to overcome that because you're just going to have that adversity. But still, like, that was that does hurt them a little bit.
I like this team. I know we've kind of talked about it a little bit on the pod, and like, oh, they're playing too many games. Like, maybe they are. But like they're playing good teams and they're preparing for the national tournament, right? So like they're battling through injuries. They have a good, like we talked about, 1A, 1B goaltending situation, and they've got guys that are going to compete every day. So I think that like you look at it like they're splitting games, but they're splitting games against good teams. And I think like they're overcoming like officiating things. And again, the injury bug, I think going into the second semester, they're in a top 2 position. I kind of made the statement that I think they're going to have to go to regionals, but it doesn't look like if this trend continues that they're going to be outside of the top 2 because they are splitting appropriate games with appropriate teams. So I like where they're at. And again, I feel like the last couple of years, it's like, ooh, this D2 team, like kind of the spotlight's been on them. Like they're expected to do some things because they're really good. They've got talent. Like, and let's say they didn't underperform, but like they didn't win. So this year, I feel like it's the opposite when it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. I think this is maybe the best for this team to be able to battle through that and then, let's say, surprise people come the national tournament.
Do they have enough depth, though? Like it's
if they're healthy, they will.
Yeah, that's the
but
key.
that is the key because you could lose someone at nationals.
Like
too,
you're going
right?
to Natties and you're playing, was it 5 games in?
Yeah, 5 games in 5 days.
In 5 days, like do they like?
They don't get that break.
Do they have enough depth? That's my one like worry. You know what I mean? Like, cause surely somebody's gonna get banged up in.
But I mean, like right now, like again on paper, it can't get much worse. Like I don't want to like knock on wood, but like you know, obviously you're still have your 2 goalies in the lineup, which is obviously a huge part of it.
Right.
But like they're battling through like top 3 or 4 players being out, and so like if you're able to battle through that and get them back healthy, let's say, or at 80% come to the national tournament, I think the positivity of that, and everybody knows it's going to suck. 5 games, 5 days, it's going to be a battle.
Tough.
So who's going to be able to push through? But I like where they're at, and I'm excited to see what kind of run, let's say, they can go on this second semester.
Well, it's good time. It's like the break will help. Like I don't know when they play when they come back, but at least I'm thinking guys are gonna get like close to 6 weeks off.
Yeah, so. And they play early and they play Lindenwood, the number 1 team in the summer. So like,
why
that's
not? Why not?
That's honestly that's a great litmus test for them to see as healthy. It's kind of like when they played Florida Golf early in the year when they were 100% healthy. They went out to Lindenwood. They weren't healthy when they went out there. So like, if they are able to play them here healthy, it'll be interesting just to see how they do in the 2-game series.
Yeah, and losses to teams like Lindenwood and Florida Golf, obviously they didn't lose to them here, but like those don't really seemingly aren't hurting you in the rankings.
Yeah.
So again, if you're continuing to battle those top teams, again, like, okay, what can we get from this video against Lindenwood when we play them at nationals if we do get that chance? Like, what do they do here? Has anything changed? So I think it's a lot of positive.
It's not like you're getting shelled. So,
exactly.
Even when they lose, it's close. Man, you think about St. Louis, like how many programs are in that area now? Like, I forgot about Lindenwood. You have Maryville. McKendree might as well be St. Louis. Like, I know that people are going to be like, oh, not. But it's like, I think it's literally outside of East St. Louis.
Yeah, it's within
Illinois.
30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah. How many, is there any other programs I'm missing that are in that area? Like, that's significant.
Yeah.
In all truthfulness, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how. Yeah, I have to look at the scope. But, being
here at Liberty, it's like what we would give to have. In the women's league, like
quality programs, like
within 45.
Like,
hey, we're playing Tuesday
or
night.
even you could say any of the leagues, right? Like more so a quality regular team that you're going to be able to
totally.
play.
Yeah, like that'd be huge.
Like a lot of the Michigan teams in
like,
the women's league, like
Adrian,
they play all those.
And
but
I don't know. That's kind of changed. That dynamic's changed over the last 5 years or so. But yeah, that's wild. I didn't realize how close together they all were.
Yeah.
All right, men's Division 3 here. Drop a couple. They lose to the Blue Raiders of Middle Tennessee 3-2, and then 4-1. They finished the fall 7-5, but 7-1 versus AAU D3 teams. So that, at least in itself, is promising. As in the AAU, which they are in, they've been pretty dominant.
Yeah, and I think like they played another D2 team just to see where they're at. Yeah. But and I think Coach Wagner, when we had him on, he knows like, we still got some work to do. Mm-hmm. But I think he feels comfortable and pleased with where that team is. And I would too if I was him, right? Especially another team that's going to get a long break to get some guys healthy and then like be able to hit the spring semester kind of rolling and like should be able to make some noise, hopefully first at conference, right? Like it feels like every time they get that regular season championship and then they make the final and just can't do it. But hopefully this is the year, and then maybe be the first D3 team to not only make it out of pool play and then anything goes after that.
Yeah, I feel like I've watched a little bit of them, but I'd like to see them play a few more games just to get a real test of where they're at. It's hard. I know obviously coach is trying to schedule different teams, and like obviously with the AAU it's a little bit different with the teams available, but same, even honestly going back to women's D1, I would like to see them play a few more games earlier in the semester just to try to get that smoothed out. But obviously I think they're in a good spot. I'm just kind of excited to see what they can do in the second semester, and again that conference tournament and those first tests are going to be huge.
How many games do they have second semester? Do you know?
I don't know.
Because I know like back in the day, basically, it was kind of like you were in that 20 to 22 game.
Yeah.
Just like
And you were still in the ACHA, correct?
Yeah. The AAU has only changed in like the last couple years. But yeah, it's one of those things where I think when you look at just ice time at Liberty, because it is like it is gold.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can really squeeze in many more games than they have.
They have 8 and they're all at Liberty. Yeah, so that's huge.
That is big, but that kind of makes sense. It hits about that 20 mark. I think that's where they have to stay in that
and cut down on costs on the road too.
Right. Yeah.
I think this year women's too, we were kind of blessed with like I think Coach Rena was saying that like everything kind of fell into place, and ideally we would have played, let's say 4 less, 5 less this semester. Just to find that sweet spot of around 15 games this semester and maybe 10 in the spring. But no, that's encouraging for men's D3 next semester to get 8 at home. That's huge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after your ACCHL showcase, you did play 4 less because there was no competition.
Yeah, I know. Those are so hard.
Yeah, like it was
poor girls.
People asked me like what it was like calling the 16-0 game. Yeah. What was it like coaching 21-0 game?
Yeah, the same as you. Like trying to look
Girls,
busy,
scoring.
Trying to look busy up there. Like we gave up a breakaway. It's like, guys, how does this happen? So little things like that.
Like, I skated them after.
Turn on the anger for a second.
Who's D3 got first up?
They play Rowan January 24th and 25th.
Old profs.
Yeah, and then old nemesis Coastal Carolina. February 8th and 9th.
Yeah. My favorite Coastal Carolina memory is we stomped them, and their coach, I don't know if it's not the same guy. He as soon as the game was over, he just left, like in his car, gone.
Chadwell?
No.
Was that his name?
No. It's some guy that used to play in the ECHL, was like a fighter. Gone. So they were so mad because I think we hammered them like 7-1 that day, and there was some chippy stuff. So their whole team stays after in the parking lot, and they're just going after our guys, like trying to fight them out in the parking lot. And I'm just like, And so somebody finally came and was like, "Hey, coach, they're just trying to cause stuff outside." I'm like, "Are you serious?" So, anyways,
Yeah, that's just the game outside the game.
Oh goodness. Yeah, there was a. That's
That's
the only
wild.
time that's happened.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a fun.
Go Coastal.
Anyways, yeah. All right, Christmas coming up. Not sure if we're having a podcast yet next week or not.
Yeah, debatable.
Yeah,
More than
TBD.
likely. Yeah.
More than likely not. Okay, so if that's the case, everybody have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thanks for tuning in to Rock the Rink, and we'll see you back here in January.